Hello there, this is TheoryBrony and welcome to a new episode of CrepuscularBrony's Discuss. Today we are going to talk about the new fan-made episodes Snowdrop and Double Rainboom. Today with me, as usual, Byter.
Blarg.
And for the first time, BucBrony. Hello, Buck.
Hello.
And also for the first time, at least in the official podcast, TheoryBrony. Hey Theory, how are you?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Pretty good as well, thanks. And both of you, Buck and Theory, Buck and Theory are YouTubers, and yeah, I'm not sure. Would you refer to yourself as reviewers? I guess at least Buck does.
Yes, I would.
That's what people seem to call me, but
what would you say? Would you
not
do?
So much. No.
Theory.
Analyzer.
No. I just
Rambler.
Yeah, Rambler. There you go. He has it right there.
Okay. So
Thoughts giver. It's basically what I do every podcast.
Ramble. So, but we have two fan-made episodes to talk about, and yeah. I thought about how to start, because we sooner or later will probably start comparing the two of those, but let's first talk about them separately and start the comparison later on, even so I kind of am afraid that it will not work this way, but nevertheless, let's try it. So, Snowdrop was the first one to come out, and so let's maybe start with the guests. What are your impressions about Snowdrop? Who wants to go first?
What, me or him?
Oh, make a battle.
You didn't say which one of us.
Make a
Buck goes with Snowdrop first and Theory with Double Rainboom.
Okay, well, I didn't really like the idea of Snowdrop to start off with, because it's not anything to do with the actual show, and it's taking the events of the show. It's just not something that interested me. And I also don't like these kinds of stories that are just constantly trying to tug at your heartstrings and constantly trying to get you emotional about everything. So in that sense, it just sort of doesn't appeal to me in any kind of major way. But it does touch on some interesting ideas, I think, about how people just don't like winter very much, and how maybe it should be appreciated a bit better. What else? And I do like the idea of sort of making the Snowdrop character be kind of an outcast in the same way that Winter is kind of an outcast. So I like that. I didn't like the way her classmates were acting throughout the episode. I thought we weren't really sort of relating to Snowdrop or sympathising with her. We were more just sort of rooting for her because the rest of her class were dicks, basically. It felt more like, she was the only one in the entire class that wasn't an arsehole. So we just rooted for her by default. We didn't really relate to her very much. I thought the animation was pretty good, and I thought the ending was very satisfying. It was interesting to see the earlier stages of Celestia and Luna's relationship. Overall, though, I thought just doesn't appeal to me, that kind of idea of just tugging at your heartstrings like constantly. I thought it went a bit overboard on the sentimentality a bit, but I guess it was okay.
Theory, something to add?
Do I have something to add?
Yeah.
Well, actually, we're not supposed to be comparing them quite yet, but I actually liked. I'm already just like, I want to compare them so bad.
Totally hard
I
to
want
compare
to.
them.
Well, the thing is, though,
So much for
Snowdrop and Double Rainboom are both going for very different things. I think I very much agree that the thing Snowdrop is going for is it's going for your heartstrings. It's trying to be emotionally manipulative. It's trying to pull at your heartstrings. it wants you to empathize with its character and her story, whereas Double Rainboom,
It's just
it's
nice
a
to
different.
look
Yeah. Well, that's what I'm saying though. That they are very different fan-made projects. Snowdrop itself is like what 12 minutes if you cut out the 2-minute credits at the end, whereas Double Rainboom is like 27 minits in its overall.
I think, isn't it?
Well, I cut out the 3 minutes of credits at the end.
Oh, I see. Right. Yeah.
I don't think credits are really much of what you go to the thing to enjoy.
Even so, they did,
So
I enjoy the credits.
I always
I like knowing who did what.
credits when I go to a film.
at least in Double Rainboom, they did something with the credits. In Snowdrop, it was
Yeah,
just
credits,
snowflakes and the flowers
I
at the
love
very
that.
flower at the very end. But I believe we wanted
Yeah.
to hear what Theory wanted to say about Snowdrop.
What did I want to say about Snowdrop? What did I want to say about Snowdrop? Well, personally, I mean, I actually like Snowdrop because of the whole entire, because it's just the whole entire thing from like start to finish. It's like a full story. Like we get an idea of it was, what was it? The spring turnover?
Spring celebration or something.
Spring something.
Spring sonnet or something. I can't even remember.
Yeah, it's
And,
winter ends, spring starts, something like this.
Right.
Last day of spring or something. Maybe.
But like Snowdrop
Yeah,
herself's a
Vanitas,
very relatable character, like because we all sometimes can't get the fuck out of here. I'm sorry, I'm just completely gone. But
What I'll say though is, the Snowdrop is very much aiming to be emotionally. I mean, you couldn't really make Snowdrop, the main character of it, be any more sympatheticable or relatable than how they tried to do it. You know, she's a small, young, blind filly with, who's got a bad class, a kind of indifferent teacher, and she has lots of hopes and dreams. I mean, I don't know how you could make her even more empathizable. Maybe give her a teddy bear for her to lose, but then
Make
that's
her
just
an
a bit token,
alicorn.
really.
It went a bit overboard.
make her
I
an
thought.
alicorn.
I thought she was the only likable character in the entire thing. So we
I think,
automatically relate to her because everyone else is a dick. Really.
Okay,
The
so
thing
her
is
mother's a
though,
dick too.
I didn't find it as polarizing as that. For me, I found it quite. Whilst the only thing that we really have much detail about is Snowdrop, whereas the rest of the world is not really that fleshed out at all. The main focus is on Snowdrop itself. So for me, it wasn't an overplay of the emotional manipulation.
Okay.
Like you mentioned the schoolmates, they don't really, we have the schoolyard scene, and yeah, they are. It shows that it's a mean setting she lives in, but the main big huge center of the whole episode is her sitting on the cloud, and that isn't about her schoolmates.
That was a wonderful scene, actually. I love that.
The classmates. What I say is just that first you have that wonderful, nice kind of introductory scene where you follow the snowflake and it's trying to build up a sense of wonder. Then you go to the classroom where it sets down the mundanity and the classroom and the winter celebration thingy. And then all we do is sit with Snowdrop and then have the conclusion. By itself, it's a really simple story. It just intro, mundanity, empathize with the character scene, and resolution. And for me, I think most of those scenes had their place, and they worked for me to get me to empathize with Snowdrop. That you have that feeling of wonderment, but then that's contrasted by the school scene. I think the school bit is probably the weakest part of the whole thing, in the sense the acting was a little bit wooden at times. Everyone was very indifferent, and yeah, they were a bit mean.
There's a Diamond Tiara clone in the middle of that class, I think.
I think the schoolyard scene, it was a bit too long for my tastes, like too much time just sort of explaining the snow celebration thing, when really the whole point of the whole episode sort of features around just Snowdrop and her on the cloud scene, which, despite its incredible simplicity as a scene in itself, it worked for me.
It's a wonderful scene. I agree there. That was a brilliant scene there. I think it actually could have benefited from being slightly shorter, though. I think it did drag a little bit in parts, even though it's fairly short as it is.
Yeah, I think though the thing is always with these emotional ones, you need to. If it was too, if we shortened it down, then it sort of throws the characters at you and says, "Snowdrop is empathizable. Empathize with her." But if it's too long, it starts to drag out. But the length they chose to do how they showed each element, I think, was pretty good. The cloud scene itself, I think, yeah, you could always cut or shivvy a few minutes here and there, but we need to spend enough time just with Snowdrop talking and showing how she's feeling and giving appropriate time for us, the audience, to appreciate that. So it wasn't too much of a problem there.
The aspects you all haven't tagged on, I personally liked about Snowdrop was this, or at least Buck went there a little bit, the aspect of world building, or in this way that they go in this time area, long time, even before Luna's banishment, and they also pick up on the element of that the that the ponies in general are responsible for all aspects of nature, like winter wrap up, sun and moon rising, and yeah, now we know that they are even that one of their jobs is even creating the snowflakes manually or hoofily. I don't know, and throwing them out.
Did that.
Well, we've already seen them making snowflakes in Sonic Rainboom, where we have all those people with the microscopes.
Ah, right.
And they're all making the
snowflakes. I don't even remember that.
It's not a new aspect, and the thing to note with that is though snowflakes are different from ice carved into rough snowflakes.
Yeah, but the thing is, you're right, I totally forgot about this scene, but now that you mention it, I remember how...
I don't even remember it now that he's mentioned it.
They go into this factory room, and I believe Rarity starts wind with her wings or something like this, and all the snowflakes fly around, and all the employees are like, oh my god, the snowflakes, and everybody is totally annoyed, and... Yeah, but it's only a short scene. I believe it's shortly after or before they visit the Rainbow Falls. But
I remember Pinkie Pie with the rainbow.
Yeah.
I don't remember the snow at all.
Well, it is there.
Yeah,
that's one of my favourite episodes. I do not remember that.
The other thing, the thing with Snowdrop is they do show how she makes her snow as such as well. That she cried that one drop. It turned into ice, and then she took a feather and carved into it with the hard point. So it's just a piece of ice with holes carved into it.
Mm-hmm. Even so, this moment was kind of confusing
lasted for 1,000 years.
Huh?
Which apparently lasted for 1,000 years, because at the very end of the episode,
preserved in a
that same
magical.
snowflake.
Yeah, it was preserved in a magical vase. So.
There's a magic refrigerator.
Yeah, sure.
Magic refrigerator.
Yeah, that is.
There's a refrigerator in that vase.
And it's magical. Mystery magical refrigerator. Season 4 final.
The magical mystery refrigerator.
Exactly.
Magical.
That'll be silly.
Yes, we are kind of silly.
It
was something
I think. What I was saying though.
You keep confusing me, guys.
The thing though is like the whole winter celebration thing and her being blind and this being 1,000 years in the past isn't actually explicitly told to its audience. Like the very intro scene is actually in the modern day.
Yeah.
And
yes,
when it goes to the classroom, it doesn't actually say 1,000 years later though, does it? Earlier though, does it?
No. It really
becomes... The only thing that actually gives it off is that when Celestia and Luna show up, and Celestia just has pink hair, and Luna just kind of has short hair.
It's obvious by that point when they come in, but otherwise you don't know.
Guess that right off the bat, actually. That it was set in the past.
In the past,
How did you guess it off the bat?
But you couldn't
There's no
say
context.
how long. from the context, it was. You
Right,
could
no, I
understand
wouldn't have
it.
guessed that it was 1,000 years before, but it seemed obvious to me that it was set in the past.
Yeah, it must have been because it started like this is today, and now we go back. I believe the narrator
To be fair,
gives some kind of
yeah, the
sentence
narrator.
It sort of seemed like
how
an
it all
origin type
started,
story.
thingy. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
But
it
not
talks about.
specified exactly 1,000 years in the past.
It talked about, someone had done something great in the past, and then it goes straight to the history lesson. So I was thinking, oh, they're going to tell us about the person in the past, and we're going to see someone's story. But actually, it turned out this is actually 1,000 years in the past, and what we're seeing is actually what the narrator was talking about, rather than what the teacher was going to talk about. So it was. I think it was still left up in the air, and the whole thing with it being about an OC and everything else, I went into both of these episodes completely blind. So I didn't know she was.
Same here. I didn't know about Snowdrop 1 hour before its release because one of the animators, I'm following him on DeviantArts, and he made a journal entry like, "Ooh, only 1 hour until Snowdrop," and I was like, "Snowdrop? Eh?" I'm oblivious as usual.
Yeah. What I was saying though is that we have all this details about the past and things, and they are pretty vague during the whole thing. Even her blindness, which is a big, huge character thing, which is the biggest problem with it, is quite vague.
Even
like
so.
when she does the talk
Do they ever say she was
about.
blind?
No, they don't. They just
No.
she says,
No,
"I
that-
can't see the stars," so it's quite. And her
mean,
eyes-
her eyes
She
are-
has this
And
milky
then she wishes
eyes.
that she could see
Yeah, and,
Yeah.
and
when
the
she's like sitting on the cloud with her mom.
yeah, and her co-students are like, "Oh, she can never see what she's doing." So yeah, it is.
Yeah.
If nobody gets that she's blind
I think
from
they'd be
her
more
eyes,
sympathetic of someone who's blind.
but she's
I
getting
think I
around
did
pretty
like.
well. She's even able to fly, so can't be too hard. But yeah, I guess
yeah.
she has this
I think
radar thingy Daredevil has as well. I mean, she can hear stars. That's pretty awesome.
apparently. I think though, the thing at least for me was that her whole talk about, when we have the resolution and she shows the snowflakes to the sisters, what she's saying about, talking about the snow and how much we should appreciate winter and all that, it's not that meaningful to me at that time. But what was meaningful at least was her struggles, her dreams and her wishes to be something. To, despite her difficulties, to still produce something about something she really appreciated. So I think, whilst the episode, it was a little bit clunky at times, I think, and it did have lots of mythology stuff, it focused on, the focus and the where it's strong at is where it focuses on Snowdrop.
It's funny thing is I just realized it's too bad that Digi isn't here because you and Digi would probably agree a lot today. But yeah, one thing that confuses me about Snowdrop is with the very end when we come back to the present days, and something Luna says like this, oh, and I haven't even a chance to, I guess it's implied that she never got a chance to say her goodbye, which kind of confuses me because the explanation for why she missed the chance to say goodbye was, in my eyes, when I saw it the first time, I was like, oh, okay, Snowdrop died during Luna's banishment. But in this case, it is kind of...
That would make sense to me.
Yeah, but on the other hand...
That makes it...
But there is one problem.
She was there for 1,000 years.
Yeah,
it makes sense that she would have to have died while she was there. She's not going to live for 1,000 years, is she?
No. What me confuses is the point that if Snowdrop kind of understands Luna, and we see that younger Luna is touched by Snowdrop's understanding of her, and she is referred to as a very close friend by Celestia later on. And so if Luna got this friend who is totally understanding her and who shares her view of the night or the winter in this case, how could Luna ever turn into Nightmare Moon if she had such a friend like Snowdrop?
I'm glad you mentioned that. I have a theory.
Oh,
I reckon Sorry, go ahead.
No. Well, probably your theory is the same as my theory, which is that because Snowdrop died, like, that was pretty much the only friend that Luna had 1,000 years ago. So when she died, that is what kind of in her head and made her turn into Nightmare Moon, because that was the only pony who actually appreciated her night.
Yeah, she's corrupted her. She's angered her by, sort of saying, she's saying like winter is this kind of thing which nobody likes and nobody appreciates, and it's the same as her night. Nobody appreciates her night, so that sort of corrupted her to become Nightmare Moon.
Exactly.
Could be. It'd be a quick turnaround for her. Just boom, she because then what did she miss? Well, I'm guessing she missed the funeral. Didn't get a chance to say goodbye. What do you do at funerals? Say goodbye to someone. So if she just instantly snapped to, or at least quickly snapped to Nightmare Moon, she postponed the chance for some semi-important ceremony of a funeral and didn't see it. That's one possible way it meant. Or just that, I mean, even if it's so unexplained why Luna turned, that she could have turned despite having one person who appreciated her night.
That could be true.
Like,
that could be the sort of catalyst that sort of angered her enough to become Nightmare Moon.
It could certainly be the catalyst. It could also just be, some people get depressed or suicidal even if they have one or more friends who they may be close to. So Nightmare Moons might still arise irregardless of Snowdrop. But all we know is that Snowdrop was her one friend and she didn't get to say goodbye to her in some way. And that was basically it, though. That it wanted to say that she's now gone, and that Luna is sad about it. So the details to me don't matter so much, because it's about the character.
Okay.
It's the whole point of the story. What Buck even would say at the very beginning is it's aiming to pull at your heartstrings. Every aspect wants to build up a sense of awe, a sense of fantasy world, show us this character who has a little bit of a tough situation, then show them just by sitting by themselves, going through their troubles and like trying to work it out, and then it does resolution and then ends the epic feel. The details are really wishy-washy, and the manipulation is very obvious. But I think it wasn't overplayed or understated. It, for me at least, managed to pull at my heartstrings.
Yeah, I would just say it went a little bit too far in that direction, maybe.
I don't know, like, for me, the core of the episode is basically the cloud scene.
Well, we agree there. Yeah, that is a beautiful scene.
I guess it depends
for me,
on
that's
personal taste. So, it went pretty much for the heartstringy, but if it is too much for you or not, kind of depends on your personal taste. Because
it really depends on how you view emotionally manipulative stories. It's very obvious what direction they're going for. But
you're freaking out the chat, Byter.
I will say though that it's what I said in my review, that basically this episode aimed to do emotional manipulation. It was a character-focused study, and at its core, it's just Snowdrop sitting on a cloud. It is ridiculously simple, and it worked in that regard, at least for quite a lot of people. And that is why I argue that Snowdrop is better than the whole of Season 3 combined.
Ooh.
No, we don't agree with that. No, can't agree with that.
Better.
Season 3, on every step, at least, was clunky or on... there's... It didn't... Whatever it was always going for, I had difficulty to go with, except maybe the humor episodes. But at least with Snowdrop, for me, that one at least worked for what it was trying to achieve.
Yeah, I can't really agree 100% on it's better than all of Season 3, because it also had its flaws. So it is sure.
The thing is, like I said though, it aimed to be emotionally manipulative,
and it succeeded.
And it did so. It aimed to pull at your heartstrings, and that's what it achieved. And as a heartstring puller, it was a very good episode. And for the the staff they had on hand, I think they did a masterful job with their resources. Like, the animation wasn't super great, but it was understated, but also emotionally resonant, despite their low amount of time and professionalism compared to a fully paid animator with doing a day job.
I believe what we can probably all agree on is that for a fan-made hobby thingy, I mean they made it in their spare time just for fun. It is pretty damn awesome.
Yeah.
So, but
animation is fantastic.
yeah.
I also find it kind of interesting that it only took them about like 4 months to do it,
Really?
and then it took Double
Wow.
Rainboom an hour? An hour.
A year.
A year.
Yeah.
No, Double Rainboom was made in an hour.
Yeah, that's a good point, though.
Which is a perfect
Yeah,
They did it in their
Huge
spare time in 4 months.
production.
And Double
Perfect
Rainbow, which is then
transition.
twice the length. It's a year.
But it's
It's twice the length, and it took them a year. But so I mean,
But
Yeah.
Theory, it's a perfect transition, and I
Did they do that?
said
Did they do
you
Double
should...
Rainbow in their spare time, or
What?
were they
no,
full-time?
that was something that they were like actively working on for a full year, and Snowdrop was something that they were just kind of working on the side. Yet it took them only 4 months.
Non-stop.
We are again going into the comparison.
I don't think that. I don't know if they did it
direction.
nonstop or not. I wasn't part of the production.
Wow.
Yeah, but the thing is, even so, we want to go to
But
into
do the guys who work on it have jobs?
I don't know.
I have no idea.
This is
All,
kind of
all we know though is
speculation.
like when watching like Snowdrop, if you watch the classroom scene, the animation is fairly rudimentary-ish in the sense it's just sort of talking heads,
Yeah.
and the camera does a lot of panning and take the very introductory scene. It's just basically they're moving the camera and rotating a 2D snowflake with a few sprites sort of walking around.
Fantastic, though.
But again,
Yeah,
it is.
it's using your resources.
Yeah, but again,
Yeah,
it
go ahead,
is
Aaron.
pretty doing a good
Well,
job in
I'll
this
say
regard.
that it looks
because-
good.
Yeah, because which just proves going with very few elements but doing them right can totally work. You don't have to have a screen with 100 ponies at the same time to make a nice impression. So yeah. But yeah,
Or
I
a
just
lot of animation. in
wanted
just
to
a
use the
few seconds.
transition earlier to let TheoryBrony talk about Double Rainboom.
Why do I have to talk about Double Rainboom? I
You
mean,
have to.
oh, I didn't say that out loud. Well, from what I got from Double Rainboom was that it's been actually heavily advertised for a full year, and that I actually had no idea that it was being released this year because I thought it was just going to be in the works forever or it'd be something that would never be released. So when I watched Double Rainboom, at first I was like, okay, I can kind of see where this is going, is that Rainbow Dash is going to obviously do what Rainbow Dash would do and completely ignore Twilight and drink the potion. And she did, and it made her super fast. And I don't know where Double Rainboom even came from. I mean, I've never even thought that that was a thing in Equestria, a Double Rainboom. But,
Well, it just comes from Double Rainbow.
oh, obviously, but
Yeah,
I mean,
and Rainboom.
Double
So,
Rainbows in Equestria?
Yeah, it's combines
So,
the idea of Double
apparently she
Rainbow
went-
and the Rainbow.
I really like, though, that even though it was a fan-made pony episode, it eventually bridged off into a fan-made Powerpuff Girls episode, which I think the whole entire thing was kind of just a shout-out to Faust. Faust? Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
the thing is, though, is that I didn't expect that, but it wasn't necessarily something that I disliked. It was just kind of strange. The whole entire thing was really strange to me from start to finish, because this out of nowhere, Twilight's been working on this special potion since Magic Kindergarten. No reason was given, and she apparently didn't even know what it did, and only had like a small idea of what it could have possibly done.
Yeah, that makes no sense. I
Not
agree.
too much, no.
Even so, she
And
pretty much
I don't
explains
even
what
really
it
know.
does.
I don't know how it could take like someone's entire lifetime to brew up a potion, because Sakura does that in her free time. I did like, however, some of the calls to memes. Like there was lots of Derpy, especially in the background, and then she had her herself a whole entire scene just to herself. Scootaloo being a chicken, and then there was that pony, and
they made Snowflake,
like an actual like reference to Faust, because I think it was Mixed Punch that had a bunch of Faust wine bottles, and Snozberries and Pinky in the Fourth Wall. So I think that the episode itself was just kind of just what every fan wanted to see, like Rainbow Dash being awesome and Twilight being Twilight. Though
being
not
nerdy.
too much from it was just a whole entire, it was just like a nerd's paradise in a sense. Though the story was more of an entertainment value, and I kind of felt like the letter at the end was kind of forced. Because I mean, it should be something that everyone knows. Like, don't take something that doesn't belong to you. Like, I'm pretty sure Rainbow Dash knew that, considering she's the element of loyalty. And I know it's probably something that has to do with honesty at the same time, but I mean, to take something from your friends, that's not certainly being loyal. It's like she's been working on this her whole entire life, and you decide, oh, it's going to make me faster, let me just take it anyway.
Yeah.
Well, well, I was going to say that the introduction of it is very almost Red Dwarf-esque, at least Red Dwarf Season 1, in the sense it's just Twilight and Rainbow Dash in the library interacting while Twilight tries to make a potion thingy. And it didn't really work for me. It didn't hold my interest, the introductory two characters stuck in a room talking to one another. They didn't seem like the characters from the show. They seemed a lot more like shallow
They were just
cutouts.
forced into a room together.
Well,
Because
it's
Rainbow
not
Dash
how
just literally
they're
came out
there.
of nowhere.
I don't mind how why they're there. It's more just sort of Rainbow Dash was a bit mindless, and just like completely, like a stereotypical obsessed with awesome person.
Okay, she's
Whereas-
nice.
Whereas-
Dash.
And she, how many times does she call Twilight Egghead?
Like 4 or 5 times within the
Right,
first
in this
10 minutes.
episode, yeah, probably about 3 or 4.
Yeah,
It's called a
over
Redhead
and over
before in the
again.
actual show, though.
Yeah. The thing is, though, for me, they felt not so much like the actual characters, but more like cardboard cutouts, or at least it was a very slow portrayal of Rainbow Dash doing the same thing over and over again, like, Twilight would be just saying, I'm doing science, and then she's like, hey, stop that, and
Lazarus?
Rainbow Dash is just playing with the tubes. It's like, that's not something that Rainbow Dash would do. Even if she doesn't understand the thing, she wouldn't try and play with test tubes.
Or possibly risk pissing off Twilight at the same
Yeah.
time.
Has
Yeah,
Twilight ever done potions in the actual show?
No,
A bit.
I don't think so.
Yeah. If you remember in the pranking episode, she does have doing some mixingness and then wants to write down, but she uses invisible ink.
Oh yeah, I remember.
Yeah. That just really threw me off when I first started watching. It's like, fan-made episode, and the first thing we see is Twilight making potions, and I'm like, she's never done that before. That's not something we know Twilight does.
Yeah.
Just kind of thought that was kind of weird.
I felt that the two characters, rather than being, the whole point at the beginning was them two interacting, but all the depth they wrote into the characters was Twilight the egghead cutout and Rainbow Dash the obsessed with awesome cutout. Go and just keep doing the same thing for 6 minutes. It's
Rainbow
why.
Dash and Sonic Rainboom, basically.
At least Rainbow Dash and Sonic Rainboom goes through what would seem more complex emotions that she actually has some sort of depth hinted to. That we don't know her interactions with the bullies. Like, why does she act coolest in some way? Is it a facade or is it emotional defense? Or we don't know why she does that, but she's encouraging to Fluttershy despite Fluttershy's shyness. And, she's always trying to put up an affront, but is actually nervous on the inside. She has depth during Sonic Rainboom, but Double Rainboom, not so much.
I guess the thing about Double Rainboom is that they, kind of like Siri already said, what they were going for
it's just a lesson like that she would have known in the beginning. Like,
I believe,
it's not like something that
I
she would
believe
have
even
learned.
the lesson wasn't meant seriously. I mean, this lesson was so obviously. I believe
Obvious.
obvious.
Yeah.
I believe it was kind of they meant it kind of like a parody because come on, sure. Any one of the main six has to learn that you don't steal, really.
Yeah.
So, and the way it was presented in the end,
She has a
like,
habit of stealing, now that you think about it, because didn't she steal books and, like, read it and sleep?
Read it and wait.
yeah, kind
Read
of.
it and weep.
Yeah.
I was thinking of witchcraft,
Yeah.
my bad.
Yeah. Well, the thing is,
I think
the thing is that
They have started to
the
sort of not do the
lesson-
letters on the show
Yeah, but
recently.
I don't
So
know.
why
Even
have
when
they
you
gone back
look-
to doing the letter in this?
even when you look at the moment how she starts writing the letter, she looks out of the broken wall, sees Ponyville completely destroyed, and then it's just like, okay, now I have to write
Oh,
a letter.
she didn't get in trouble for that, apparently. Like, just completely eradicate all of Ponyville.
But
Yeah,
if the
yeah.
ending to
This
if,
was a
Sword
strange-
of
Everyone's
Century-
completely fine. Everyone's completely fine with cleaning up after her shit.
yeah, yeah.
well,
It's just like Rainbow Dash made this whole entire mess, and then you see Dr. Who's with like nails in his mouth. It's like, we're gonna
Yeah.
do all this work, and all Rainbow Dash has to do is just write a letter to
It is.
Celestia.
It is even worse
Big
when you
part
look
of the-
within 20 seconds or something. She looks outside the broken ring. She sees everybody crying. They are really crying. They are devastated. And then 20 seconds later, we cut again outside, and the sun is shining. We hear happy music, and everybody is like, "Yeah, we built the town." Like, what?
well,
Make
if Sword
up
of the
your
Century
mind.
and Secret of My Access are anything to go by,
They can't all be.
they do rebuild Ponyville pretty quickly.
Yeah, but they can't all be
Just 'cause
so
everyone helps,
bipolar. I mean, they have been crying 1 second over a flower thingy, and then the next moment they're just like, "Hey, let's rebuild the whole town."
The thing is, though, is that, like, in Swarm of the Century, that was kind of something out of their control. Granted, it was Fluttershy who brought the first Parasprite into town, but nobody knew that. So, like, that was something they couldn't control. And then in Secret of My Access, I actually don't really remember that episode too much. But everyone knew, every single pony in Ponyville knew that Rainbow Dash was responsible for that whole entire thing. But they just, nobody cared. It was just, we're going to clean up after her.
But in the end, this is more or less what proves to me that I believe it was from beginning to end not meant serious.
Oh, of
the
course
more,
not.
The,
The minute I saw the
especially-
troll face, I was
especially
just
the
like, this
more.
is not going to be something serious that I have to really care about.
Yeah,
No,
mean,
it's constantly jokes.
yeah,
Isn't
yeah.
it? You got like
Yeah, it is.
you've got Derpy, you've got Rarity's main thing.
This is
Got
also
Blue.
one thing I was wondering about, because they were like this was one thing throughout season 3 that everybody was crying about all the pandering, and now what do the fans do when they create their own episode? Pandering from beginning
Destroy
to
Ponyville.
end.
Yeah.
Every single
It's not the same when it's a fan-made thing.
it's
It's like every time you see Derpy in the actual show, you're like, oh wow, they actually put Derpy in there. That's brilliant. They're shouting out to us bronies. When it's a fan-made thing, it's not the same.
It's like, oh look, it's Derpy.
Yeah, it's Derpy because it's done by the fans. You know, obviously it's going to have Derpy in it if it's made by the fans.
even though they put, I believe, 100,000 little Easter eggs all over the place in the background. You can see a companion cube. You can see references to, I don't know, this is a Scary Moon thing.
Back to
I
the
don't know
Future.
what it is.
Pinball.
But yeah, it is really. This whole thing is a nerdgasm. So, but a very colorful and very well done nerdgasm. So.
I think that's why it's so popular, because it just has a lot of references to a bunch of different
people
things.
like references.
Especially
It's a big, huge kitchen sink of ideas, concepts, and story things thrown together. The difficulty I had with though was it was really boring.
It does drag quite a lot, actually.
Beginning was really
and
hard.
it doesn't have a consistent direction. In the sense, we first have just those two interacting at the very beginning for like the first 6 minutes.
Yeah, that goes on way too long.
Yep.
Yeah,
I have
really long.
actually have an explanation for this one, because when you think about it, the very first teaser they put out was the exact same opening scene, and so this leads to the conclusion that they probably produced it chronologically. So while they were producing it chronologically, they probably started out, made this very first scene, and before continuing, they watched it and they were like, ooh, the pacing turned out a little bit different than we expected while doing it, because I believe doing such a big thing in Flash was the first time for most of them on the team. So that's why the pacing gets better through, at least that's my explanation. I'm just talking out of my ass right now, but that's my explanation why the pacing is so terrible in the beginning, but becomes better and better throughout the episode, because they were...
I'm not sure if it does, actually.
Oh, I think it does.
It's because the episode actually transforms. We first have, the long, boring, two people in a room talking scene that they didn't make work. That was something that at least Snowdrop did quite well. It had just one character by themselves on one place, just talking to themselves.
That's cheating.
Which worked.
A monologue, a monologue done better than a dialogue. That's cheating.
Well, I suppose it's just like whatever you plan on going to, like, the episode for. It's like if you're going to go there to learn more about, like, the characters, or if you just want to see something entertaining. If you think you would probably watch Snowdrop.
The thing is,
I just wanted to be entertained.
If you have a 6-minute scene about them talking, then them talking better be interesting. Or this is your opening scene. This is your audience invested. And for me, it didn't get me invested, and that's why I turned off after 6 minutes, because I was so freaking bored.
And you poor soul had to rewatch it anyways for this podcast.
It was just I was so bored by that point that nothing had happened, and the characters were cutouts. But after that, their focus went away from just characters talking and interacting, which is always what the show has been, and what they didn't do very well at. To the later part of it, I would say its allure is the random humor and the action. What's going on? Rainbow Dash just flying around really fast and causing chaos, and then later just running around a lot with the Powerpuff Girls.
Mm.
Yeah, second half is basically a Powerpuff Girls episode with Rainbow Dash in it.
By the
Which
way,
is not what I wanted to see, really.
I didn't mind it. I loved Powerpuff Girls when I was a kid.
I've never watched Powerpuff Girls, so it was kind of wasted on me.
Oh, you don't have a childhood.
The thing is, I actually wanted to dig into Powerpuff Girls myself, so I couldn't enjoy it as much as a real Powerpuff Girls fan. But for once, I really like this twist that, like, oh, okay, now she's in the Powerpuff universe. What the hey? And I liked really this idea of a twist, because this was just like, we already jumped the shark, now let's go on a swim with it. And what I really liked was a different animation style they used in the Powerpuff universe with thick black outlines. It was like,
that looked cool.
I first had to look twice, because Rainbow Dash still looked like Rainbow Dash, but different. And I was like, okay, something is off. What is it? And I thought this was kind of a nice mixture in the whole thing. So,
when she was going through the vortex, I got all excited, because we saw Dexter from Dexter's Lab, and I thought, oh, is she going to go to Dexter's Lab? That would be really interesting, that. Because we see the sort of similar kind of scene with Twilight in the opening. That's kind of like Dexter's Lab. So I thought she was going to go there. I think I really would have liked that. Would have liked to see that, because I did watch Dexter's Lab quite a bit in my childhood. So
I think, sorry. Good.
Just on a personal level, that was just disappointing to me.
It is kind of nice to see, like, how a fan would write an episode. Like, that is how Zachary Rich sees Rainbow Dash. Like, he could totally see Rainbow Dash doing what she did in that episode because he wrote it.
Huh.
I kind of find that interesting, because the whole entire, like, both of them were written from start to finish by fans. Like, there was nobody else. So, yeah.
This is a strange thought, because, as I stated earlier, I was kind of seeing this whole thing with an ironic, with my ironic glasses on, because I got this feeling that it was all meant ironic. But you kind of got a point. Probably Zach really sees Rainbow Dash this way, and this... No. I hope not. I hope he wasn't serious about it. Because this is not Rainbow Dash. Not entirely. not with stealing the stuff and just drinking.
Well, she's been
it.
written by a bunch of different people, so it is possible that is something Rainbow Dash could do. But at the same time, me personally, my personal opinion being that I think Rainbow Dash would be smarter to just, this is something dangerous. It just made a gigantic troll face appear. Why would you drink it?
Yes.
Well, I tell you what I don't understand about that. It's like, Twilight's been working on this potion since kindergarten. She's like, she's been working her whole life to do it, and now she doesn't want anyone to drink it. Why do you make it if no one's going to drink it?
Ooh, and by the way, she was able to redo it within hours. To remake it within hours.
She made it within hours, and her testing was a bit like she puts Rainbow Dash in the test rig and doesn't think of how she's going to. Like, if you're putting them in the rig, you obviously have some kind of test in mind, but Rainbow Dash sort of just stuck there. She's like, the tests aren't working.
Testing
so I'll let you go.
Or a pulse, that's all it could possibly be. You want to go out there and, you want to go out and test, how fast she's flying or something, don't you?
Well, yeah, or at least you test her strength or something like that. But
all she did was just kind of hang there with her wings spread wide, and it was just like this the whole entire time.
Yeah, and I think also like Twilight, if she was really crazy about this spell, she would be a bit more intelligent about it. She would probably try and if Rainbow Dash even was acting that way, she would make sure that Rainbow Dash had no chance of grabbing it.
Yeah, instead of just leaving it out in the open where Rainbow Dash could easily just go whoop.
Yeah, and even saying and it would really make you go fast. No. Twilight should know Rainbow better.
It's like
does it not occur to you, Twilight, why Rainbow Dash is asking what happens if she drinks that potion? It's maybe because she's thinking of drinking the potion, perhaps? It doesn't occur to her.
And then egging her on by saying, by the way, you could probably go extra fast if you drank it, but you probably shouldn't because it might be dangerous.
Yeah, and then she, for some reason, goes off and starts talking about Pinkie Pie and...
Yeah, because she was interrupted while she was talking about Pinkie Pie. But also, how did she find out that the solution to getting Rainbow back was giving Pinkie Pie the potion? Because does she know that Pinkie Pie is...
thinking.
I mean, we as the viewers know that Pinkie Pie is breaking the fourth wall, but how did Twilight know that Pinkie has this ability?
Well, because she does that in Magic Jewel. Twilight sees her do that in Magic Jewel.
Ooh, but
they don't give that as a reason, though. They just sort of say, I'm just going to give it to Pinkie Pie because...
the best.
Yeah, I had no clue what it would have done, but maybe unleashing a hyper party animal might solve the problem.
Yes, we gave it to Rainbow Dash and now she's gone, so we'll give it to someone else and maybe she can fix the problem.
Yeah, and if you think about it,
Fluttershy isn't it more likely it's going to make things worse?
Yeah, but think about it, Fluttershy being able to talk to animals wouldn't help, Rarity making dresses wouldn't help, Applejack running really fast wouldn't help, so yeah, Pinkie Pie is really the only one. Except maybe Twilight herself!
Maybe, Twilight could take it, she could figure out a solution.
Yeah.
I think the way things are written, though, is the 6-minute scene at the beginning, the whole point is Twilight makes a spell, Rainbow Dash drinks it, and Rainbow Dash is let free. The logic internally leading up to that and the interaction of the characters isn't really the point of that scene. It's just to set up the chance for Rainbow Dash to do a double Rainboom. The whole point of her speeding around is for lots of gags and Rainbow Dash to do the double Rainboom to break through the cartoon wall, the fourth wall, and into Powerpuff Land. The whole point of Powerpuff Land was running around.
And I'm back. Okay.
How happened that?
Everyone else is lagging a bit for me, but
okay.
Oh, you're back.
Am I good? And then in the end, Pinkie Pie restores everything to normal, and the letter is just a reminder of what the show that inspired this all was from before.
Yeah.
The letter doesn't follow.
On the show now. Why have they gone back to doing the letters in this?
The letter doesn't really follow from what we've seen, because normally it's, the whole point of the sleepover episode is the two characters interacting, talking with one another, going through some trouble, and learning a lesson about friendship. So curtailing that off with a letter makes sense within the context of Friendship is Magic.
Yeah, but you
Here, though,
have
the
to
episode
remember,
is funny laughs.
yeah, but you have to remember that it is a fandom piece, so that they have this kind of ironic way to go all about it, and they probably really just included the letter as a reference to the show and as kind of like how has an MIT episode to end with a friendship letter. So I guess it's kind of understandable that they put the letter in there, even so there was no real lesson to be learned, or at least not this lesson.
No, I think they're trying too hard to make it an episode when it should just really be its own thing.
This could be, yeah.
Advertising it as the first fan-made episode and all that.
The whole point is, references and parodies, and the letter is a reference to the show. It doesn't really fit in the same way it used to, but nothing much that they did there really does. It's a series of funny, random, interesting events to the fans and the people making it.
And I
think,
say,
though, for me,
I'll tell you one.
like you said about like you said about Snowdrop, Byter, I believe more or less the same can be said about Double Rainboom, because what it was aiming for, it did pretty good. I mean, there were a few missed jokes that were like, really? And like the thing that you really see that they are not the professional animators doing this for a living, so of course there were flaws. The pacing was something. If they would do another project like this, I guess the pacing like it was in the beginning would be better. This is something you have to learn at some point first. But I believe in its regards, it did a pretty good job. Like just throwing out reference after reference, being enjoyable, at least from the moment when Rainbow starts flying, because before it was dragging a bit too much.
I say that, it was after they got past the when she starts flying, it becomes much better, which is a bit of a shame since I stopped watching after the 6 minutes, because those 6 minutes were so dragging. But I did watch again just before this show, and it was fairly all right. The whole actioniness and the parodiness and things going on, it aimed for that. The difficulty was always, though, that it still kept that slow pace, and it's still not much of a story. In the sense, tugging at your heartstrings is a story to tell. That it told Snowdrop's story in Snowdrop. In this one, though, it's a kitchen sink approach to storytelling.
We'll see.
Yeah. But while we are on the pacing, has anybody of you also seen the cut version of it, which was cut down to 22-minute length?
Yes.
I saw it in the related links, but I never clicked on it.
I saw it. I thought it was a lot better, actually.
Yeah, I agree. Of course, because it was just somebody taking the original and cutting it down. So obviously there were some hiccups, like when you cut out whole lines. Of course, the following lines will kind of be in the air, and there will be. You have this feeling of that there is some connection lost. And of course, when you cut the music in the background, has jumps as well. But besides this aspect of cutting it down afterwards, it was pretty, the pacing and the speed was better. Again, really, we already had this problem yesterday when we talked.
Oh, God.
I thought you learned your lesson yesterday, Theory. You did the same yesterday.
It's so ironic that it's just so ironic that the exact same thing happened yesterday when I was talking to you, and now it happens now. That's nice.
Anyways, where was I? Yeah, the cut down episode.
I think possibly cutting it down might have made it a fun, short, little, diversion. Like I found the most enjoyable way to watch the second part, the more actiony bit with more parodies, was it was a very fun Minesweeper episode. you're watching the thing and playing Minesweep at the same time. So, you can sort of just focus on the game and look over and see something funny for a moment and then look back. That's at least how I enjoyed it. One thing I thought
like Minesweeper, don't know.
Well, it's something mindless to do while clicking away, and you can just sort of relax. The other thing I forgot to mention was just the musical scores behind each of the episodes.
Ooh, good point. I believe you can go into the comparison department anyways now.
Yeah.
Compare the hell out of it!
Yeah, sometimes I think, Double Rainboom had a bit strong background music for the slow pace of it.
The guitars were really strong.
Yeah.
Music during the flying
parts. But I actually did like the music in Double Rainboom because it actually did remind me of the show. And though with Snowdrop I didn't really remember it because it was actually really soft. But all of the music actually did fit with the scenes, so it didn't bother me.
Yeah.
The theme during the flying sequence is brilliant, I think.
Yeah, I think when the area that Double Rainbow worked much better at was when it was just running around doing random action and random actions, and the musical accompaniment kind of helped that along when they were just doing random stuff. When it was doing its slow paced 6-minute thing at the beginning, it was really kind of awkward, that music. Or it was a bit too in your face for just two characters talking. As for Snowdrop, I think they did the music there pretty masterfully. That it could have been. It was never overstated, but it complemented the story it was trying to tell.
Yep.
Which is really that's kind of the best I would say for background music. The thing with voice acting, background music, or animation is generally, I say, is that they're best when you don't notice them. Like a bad animation is you noticed when, or bad screenplay is when you notice characters teleport, or there's an animation error. Bad voice acting is when there's that one character who's really annoying, and bad background music. And bad background music is when you've got like a choir of instruments playing at every single moment all the time, and it starts to get a bit grating. Because it's like being stuck amongst an orchestra rather than watching some people with a few little musical cues.
I believe they both did a good job with the music.
Oh, go ahead.
They did a fairly good job. I think sometimes the show itself and Double Rainboom went a little bit over. But that's just personal preference.
Yeah, I know. I remember my very first reviews where I used this a little bit louder rock music, and one of your first comments was like, "Dude, you're overdoing it with your music. Turn to quieter music."
In your first reviews, you had music playing the entire review.
I still have, but you don't recognize it anymore.
So, it meant though it's kind of like you're stuck with ANY just talking with this bunch of guitars playing in the background all the time, and the music actually sort of therefore detracted from the review rather than complemented what he was saying.
Oh well, I think it adds to the atmosphere. I think if you're talking without music, I think it sounds like you're in a bathroom or something. I mean, my reviews don't have music because it's just.
I'm doing all my recording in the bathroom.
Yeah, all sound around you is just like completely cut out.
Yeah, I'm not saying...
I never like the sound of my reviews, really.
Yeah, I'm not saying a complete cutout, but the example I cited was of music. The example I cited to ANY was, I think it was Taste of Understated Nerd Rage, where what he always does is that when he's bringing up a new, different point, he changes the music, or... sometimes it's all right to have silence, when you're just using your connecty words between points. And that music it complements what the reviewer is trying to tell.
I'm too lazy to switch the music in between, so...
Yeah, I'm too lazy too.
I'm too lazy to put music in at all.
I just have one track going through the whole entire video and just call it a day.
Yeah.
I usually try to pick... I usually have my opening theme running for half a minute. Then I pick a song that is kind of fitting to whatever I'm talking about. For example, taking the Smile song for Too Many Pinkie Pies, picking the Scootaloo theme for Sleepless in Ponyville and so on. But yeah, then I just repeat this song I picked for the rest of the video. Laziness for the win!
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Better than nothing.
A&Y Pony, producing high-quality videos since 2012. God damn it. Yeah.
So
I guess comparison time. Like Byter already said early on, the two episodes, it's very interesting that they came out so close to each other because they both are fan-made. They both are semi-canon. I believe Snowdrop can be taken more canonly, like because it's just in this past, and it is a possible past for the actual show. It could have happened this way, while Double Rainboom is pretty much out there like, okay, we are just having fun, guys.
No.
But
I think
the interesting thing is they both have, in their own way, a very, very high and great quality, like animation-wise. I mean, this is, for example, Byter and me already talked very early on in the Crepuscularity about the actual first fan-made episode, Dusk'd Dawn, and this
I was going to bring that up.
just because it was our very worst episode of Crepuscularity, or why? No, the thing is, when you compare it, Dusk'd Dawn shows how complicated it is to produce such a long piece of solid animation, and that it shows how much effort they put into it. I mean, sure, it shows that Double Rainboom had 3 times as long production time and bigger staff, I guess, because, well, they put a lot of details into it, while, as we already stated, Snowdrop is more like elegance in its simplicity, with only this one character on a cloud instead of this high-speed chasing scenes all over Double Rainbow.
And then suddenly going to Powerpuff.
Yeah, exactly.
And
so
back.
Yeah, well, a good transition, I thought, from one style to another. That worked well.
It was alright.
Yeah. But I thought the animation in both of them was fantastic, actually. I thought it was a little better in Double Rainbow, though.
I think, Snowdrop at least, I very much prefer Snowdrop as it's a better homage to the original show, in the sense it's taking that core character focus of feeling emotionally invested in the characters and putting that on a pedestal.
You can't say the same thing for Double Rainboom. It just got like way out of control at the end.
I don't think... What emotions were you supposed to feel during Double Rainboom?
Fun.
Fun. Awesome.
Yeah,
It's not really...
The fan made too many Pinkie Puffs.
I know, those aren't really emotions.
It's just fun stuff the whole way through.
It was just entertaining to watch.
Which is why I'm saying
much-
it's not. Which is why it's not the same as putting characters on the pedestal and making us empathise with them. It's the most. Double Rainboom is actually more a homage to the more shallow aspects of the fandom, of just the sheer appreciation of Rainbow Dash's awesomeness, Twilight's geekiness, and random pop culture references. Though for me, I think the reason I get invested in the show isn't the potential of the characters to be put in random pop culture references. It's more that I empathize with the characters and think it would be cool to put them and see into pop culture references and see how they react. The interesting idea of like I clip my fingers and Fluttershy's now in the world of Dragon Ball Z is inherently an interesting idea because I am interested in the character of Fluttershy. It's not because Fluttershy is awesome in her shyness. It's just that, it would be interesting to see her play off these other characters.
I've never watched that show, so I wouldn't know.
Okay. So I'm saying though that I think Snowdrop was a much better homage of the show in the sense it took what the best part of the show was and put it on the pedestal. And okay, it was emotionally manipulative. It was a little bit clunky here and there, and it was short and sweet. But I think it did very well as a fan project. It's what the fans like. So yeah, go ahead.
Yeah.
I think. Well,
Yes, go first.
go ahead.
Nope. Yes, go first.
Okay.
carry on.
I think the thing about Snowdrop is you could almost say it's canon. Actually, I think it's very easy to accept that could have happened like hundreds of years ago, and that is why they respect winter maybe a bit more now. Like the line in Winter Wrap-Up, it's time to say goodbye to winter. Double Rainboom would never be seen as canon. There's no way they would do that in the actual show, like Rainbow Dash going into space, the troll face, and
Powerpuff Girls.
Powerpuff Girls, of course.
Not even the story would be canon-like. I mean, the
No,
Powerpuff
no.
Girls, of course not, and
The story is just Sonic Rainboom again, really, isn't it?
no, no, absolutely not.
No.
Sonic Rainboom was all about angsting on RD's end and stuff, and here it is like grab this shit and do crazy stuff. There was never this this problem with self-confidence and anything. I mean, the element of the Rainboom reappeared, but no, I wouldn't say this 2 episodes. Sorry.
All right.
Yeah.
Disagree there.
I think yes. So that's my rendition, at least on Snowdrop. It's very much a homage to what I would argue is the best part of the show, putting it on a pedestal.
Then I guess
and
you
it
can
told
say,
its own story.
Then I guess you can say
Yeah.
that Double Rainboom is a homage and putting on the pedestal stone the fandom.
It's very much a fandom project. It's very much by fans for the fans themselves. The only thing is with my biggest problem, at least with Double Rainboom, is it's not much of a story.
I believe
I think they
it's
made a
not going-
mistake publicising their fan-made episode. Really, I wouldn't call it that myself.
Yeah, it's certainly not that, and I didn't know about that was what they called it when going into it.
They've been saying it's the first
First
fan-made
ever fan-made episode. That
how
was
long?
what got everybody hyped.
And it's alive.
Dusk'd Dawn
Was the first
got
one.
yeah.
I think Snowdrop could have potentially, I was about to say potentially had a lot of potential. Yeah.
Redundancy!
potentially had a lot
Go
of
for
potential.
it!
No, I think it does have a lot of potential. Like, if they could probably make it into something longer to expand more on the character.
No, I wouldn't want to see Snowdrop in any more stories. I don't think that was enough for me.
I believe this character story
they
is
would
told.
need to. They would need to do something a lot different than just this is Snowdrop and she's empathizable again. And
I'm saying expand more on just like what they already have. Like if they were to make it longer.
the difficulty with making it longer though is they're at the moment all they've done is basically frame hugely that Snowdrop sitting on the cloud scene and make that epic. At least towards being emotionally and manipulative. The difficulty is that if you, I'm not sure what, there's other than the schoolroom scene, there isn't too much flat fact, and there isn't too much that needs to be added.
Yeah. Have you ever seen the Ron Howard version of The Grinch, which is basically just tried to take Dr. Seuss's story and just expand it to like an hour and a half, and it's just filler.
Is this the one
throughout,
with
so
Jim Carrey, or
I don't think fattening out that kind of story would really work very well.
is it the version with Jim Carrey, or?
Yeah, the Jim Carrey one.
Okay, then I have seen it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just filler throughout. It just doesn't work.
Yeah. I think that emotional core that Snowdrop's going for, it would get a bit tiring if it was stretched out much longer. Like I think short and sweet is what they went for and where it excels. If you're going to lengthen it out, I can't see. It'll be really hard to do properly.
I actually think it would have been better if it had been slightly shorter.
Yeah, maybe.
I guess it's more or less in the right area of length. So.
It was the right about area, yeah. It didn't have any too much egregious faults other than it just being all about manipulation and going a bit too strong for that. The thing is, at least with what I was saying again was Double Rainboom. it failed to engage me on any level because it wasn't really much of a story. It was just a random series of connected events.
It's too many Pinkie Pies.
So many Pinkie Pies.
Yeah, which is kind of the problem with too many Pinkie Pies.
Yeah.
Well, from a technical standpoint, after you've gone past the first 6-minute scene, it does really start to pick up, at least because now you're moving around, and particularly with the Powerpuff Girls, the new animation style looks a lot better.
I believe
But I
DigiBrony called it the Uncanny Valley in regards to the not Powerpuff Girls part, because it's so close to the original thing that everything not perfect starts throwing you off, while everything before the Uncanny Valley is okay in your books, because, well, you see what it is aiming for, but it is distant enough, so you see, okay, it's not the real thing, and you're fine.
It looks identical. Are you talking about the animation?
Yeah, exactly.
No, for me, it was the voice acting.
It's not the animation, it's the screenplay.
As well.
The animation I thought was spot on.
I think for the Powerpuff Girls bit, it was fine for the screenplay to linger on certain screens because we're sort of more used to that. But with the show, the point Digi said about was actually that the thing switches camera angles a lot, and that's what Snowdrop did a lot as well. It switched its camera a lot, even if all it did was focus in on certain areas or zoom out or pan up to the moon again for like the 3rd time. Snowdrop did a lot with its camera, irrespite of its alright animation. But the thing is, if you imagine, for example, the whole first 6-minute scene, the animation of them moving about it's fan level. It's not super show level yet. That's not where I'm getting awkward, though. I think what's awkward about it is the fixed camera angle and just the little puppets moving around on screen, just one moving at a time. It's very stationary camera.
I think there's one scene actually where they're panning across from one side of the room to the other when each character's giving their lines, and it is a bit off-putting actually.
I think it's just the pacing of the screenplay and the what they do with the camera is a bit too slow.
Sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead.
I did notice there were a few moments in Double Rainboom where a character would say a line and then there'd be like a 2-second pause before the next line was delivered. I'm not quite sure what's going on there. The dialogue seemed to be delivered rather slowly in some parts, I thought. I don't know if anyone else noticed that.
Wait, in which?
In Double Rainboom.
That it was delivered slowly?
Yeah.
I didn't really have a problem with the actual dialogue. I mean, I can imagine them at least having that conversation, but I can't imagine the events that happened.
But you mean the one between Rainbow Dash and Twilight?
At the very beginning.
Yeah. This is what I meant with the strange pacing at the beginning. It was also present in the dialogue. Also something that got better throughout the episode.
Yeah, the episode, it may very well be that the Powerpuff Girls is where, because they had several animators, didn't they? That Powerpuff Girls one was, the scene leading into it and out of it, it works fairly well, but when we're in the stuff that they animated ages ago, it's the most clunky. They've got the animations, the movements right. It's just the clunkiness of the camera shots, of the dialogue, of what the characters are actually doing. It's very slow in most regards.
Funny thing about this this cut-down version, they played the whole opening scene with Twilight mixing, but they made it go faster. And it worked pretty well.
A lot better.
They just made it faster. The music became a little bit faster, and Twilight's movements were like, in a few moments, especially when she is looking back and forth between the bottle and the book, you see that it is kind of too fast because the facial expressions change too quick because of the
that's the
speed.
That's the scene in the whole entire thing that I remember the most, because she made like 10 different faces in a matter of like 5 seconds. So I'm trying to imagine that sped up.
Oh yeah, this is a moment where you feel that it is sped up, but before this moment, before this particular scene, it felt natural, even so it was sped up, and this was kind of got me thinking like, okay guys, you really just could have thrown a few frames out there. Oh well.
Yeah, possibly. Right.
So, are there any aspects about either of the shows or the comparison of the shows you guys want to go talk about as well? We haven't tackled.
I was going to say, I mean, it's what I wanted to talk about actually was just at least the comparison with Dusk'd Dawn, in the sense both of these are very much better animated, but Double Rainboom does share some of the problems with Dusk'd Dawn, in the sense of the slow pacing.
I'm sorry, what is Dusk'd Dawn?
I've never watched that either.
Okay.
I know that's a fan animation, but I still haven't seen it.
Yeah, it was done shortly before season 2 aired. No, I believe before season 2 or season 3. Byter, help me out. It was done during some summer. I believe between...
I think it was after 2.
Yeah, between 2 and 3, I believe they called themselves Project Interloop, and they tried to create this 20-minute fan-made episode during the summer, during 2 seasons. And it was a full...
And it was all with OCs.
Yeah, it was all.
So that was the first fan-made episode.
Yes, that's the thing. Double Rainboom is in fact not the first fan-made episode.
But this is false advertising as well.
Yeah, it is.
It's a good way to publicize it, and it's false advertising.
I believe they later on emphasized that they are the first show-level animation quality, and this is kind of true because Dusk'd Dawn suffers from a lot of empty screens. Like, for example, there's one scene where 2 characters look at a castle in the distance, and you have a mountain range on the horizon, you have the castle within a plain green field, and you have the 2 characters in front, and this castle just seems lost. This is like, I don't know, like Populous in the 1990s when you have flattened out all the land and just put one village there.
Is it like Scooby-Doo when they're running across the same background every time?
No, it was just empty. This field was just empty because they probably had not the resource, because it was a very, very small team that actually did Dusk'd Dawn. I believe less than 10 people altogether, including voice actors.
Yeah, it was all mostly a very incredibly nerdy team. I think most of them were very computer program backgrounds, so people who spend a lot of time coding. And it was just people, a lot of them hadn't even done Flash before, and they only have like one artist in the whole team. The others were just like quite young guys. I think one was like 17 who just picked up a free art program and started drawing because of ponies. So yeah, they didn't have so much of the talent behind it as these other 2 projects probably did.
I'm sure to check that out.
I have to go watch it.
Yeah, it's an interesting watch in at least the sense that Dusk'd Dawn does actually try to be a MLP episode, like a prelude or an epilogue. Very much. The difficulty though, it's the only one that actually tries to do a song and have an antagonist, protagonist, like a main 6. All OCs, of course. The problem with it was just the team wasn't competent enough to really deliver, on an animation standpoint, anything like Double Rainboom or Snowdrop have delivered to us. And the story they told was a bit of a mishmash, trying to ape the show whilst also being hugely limited by whoever was writing it and by their own limitations.
Wow.
Yeah, until you've seen it, you don't have much to say.
No, obviously cannot comment.
Yeah, the thing is, at least I would say, is that the thing was that we've never really seen anything like Snowdrop in the show itself, even if it could be something the show could have done, sort of. Like have a big, huge. That
could be canon, I think. Snowdrop, like it could be interpreted as canon.
Yeah, it's not very much like the episodes we've seen, but if they ever did a short. It would be it would feel very much in kilter with the rest of the show, whereas the problem with Dusk'd Dawn and Double Rainboom is whilst they take the superficial elements of the show they wouldn't really fit so well if they were actual canon episodes.
No, Double Rainboom could not be an episode in the actual show.
It's just an interesting irony I was thinking of. It's just that both of them are trying to be very much like the episodes we've seen, with songs, with protagonists and antagonists, the main six, or in Double Rainbow's case, they got the letter, they got the characters and everything else, and the high animation quality.
I believe there's still
But
a
it's
little bit
not
of
really what the
distance.
show is.
Because Dusk'd Dawn was really serious about it, while Double Rainboom, is just going nuts, and they know it to a certain degree. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's still, I guess I'll put a link to Dusk'd Dawn as well as Snowdrop and Double Rainboom in the description of this video when it is up on YouTube. So
We also
everybody
did
who
a
hasn't seen
podcast of
Dawn-
Dusk'd Dawn.
Yeah,
We did a
this as well.
podcast on Dusk'd Dawn.
Yeah, we also did this. At least the last thing I've heard that they were actually planning to do a second episode of Dusk'd Dawn because the first one kind of ends on a cliffhanger and quite unresolved. And now that season 3 is over, I don't know. They
never did it.
Not yet, because they did the first episode during the last time between seasons, so maybe they are working on it right now. I don't know. This is something.
Dusk'd Dawn, the people who are making that have continued. They have listened to the feedback that people gave them. What they've said they're doing is, instead of continuing on the story that they're going on, which was not really their strong point, they said they're going to do character-focused episodes, which I wholeheartedly agree with. That if we're going to get interested,
Do a rarity episode. You didn't get one in season 3.
the thing is they're all OCs, so they're going to do character episodes on their OCs.
Character or something.
And Dusk'd Dawn plays in some kind of a different time area, because the elements of harmony are present, but the main six are not the current bearers of the elements. So we don't know when it takes place, if it is the past or the future, but it's definitively not the present, so there won't be any rarity or stuff like this in Dusk'd Dawn. But please, Byter, continue. Sorry.
Their plans are to do character-focused episodes, and hopefully they're also aiming to do it a bit shorter, so maybe they will aim towards doing something very much like Snowdrop, but this time introducing their main six to build up to a more grander vision. But they will still need to build up their talent and build their animation and writing talent for even their character episodes to work. But for a small fan-made project, character episodes are generally the way to go. Keep it simple, keep it short, and it's much easier to accomplish.
And presumably Hasbro are not going to call a cease and desist on them if they're all OCs.
This as well,
Probably,
yeah.
That's probably
So
sort of why
they're
they want
safe
to.
Go now.
So we'll have to wait and see what their second outing does. I have a feeling it might not be of the same quality of Snowdrop or Double Rainboom, but hopefully they will touch up on their writing and choose a bitter scope.
I just want to use this break. I guess this is a good point for a break, especially since TheoryBrony just told me that he really needs to go to the bathroom.
You know what? I'm going.
For sharing that.
I just wanted to make the ending so he could go. Okay, now we have to wait for him to come back.
What?
Byter, you want to give any final statements?
I think Snowdrop at least had a story it wanted to tell, and it managed to mostly do so. The thing is that the story was a little bit clunky and it was emotionally manipulative. But if you want to see a story that wants to pull at your heartstrings and get you empathetic with a small pitiable little girl,
Then you listen
Snowdrop's
to My
your
Little
real thing.
Dashie. Sorry, it's not my bad.
Yeah. Double Rainboom, I didn't dislike it. I was more just incredibly bored because it didn't have a story to tell, which is why it made it a perfect Minesweeper episode. I don't know. If you want to see some fans do a competently executed series of fun random events, after you get past the boring first 6 minutes, it's a fun, mild diversion. It's a bit like a dumb action movie. without.
That's a good way of putting it, actually. Yeah.
I like
Yeah.
I like dumb action.
I love dumb action movies. You know,
Yeah,
they're just
I'm
there
German
to
and I
give you a
can't do
fun
Arnold
time.
Schwarzenegger. That's weird. I'll be. I
Arnold
like
Schwarzenegger,
dumb
Sylvester
action
Stallone
movies.
movies. I could watch them all day. Love
Yep.
them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So for what it is, it was a dumb action movie. That again depends on your tastes. Are you going to just enjoy the dumbness, or the action? Sorry, or does the dumbness that break it for you? In the same way, does emotionally manipulativeness break it for you?
No golden forks. Transformers is not a dumb action movie.
Whoa.
Transformers is just bad.
Michael Bay is just bad.
Thank you. But Buck, your final statement. Your final statement for today. Or you have one, don't you?
Snowdrop. What? Excuse me. Snowdrop was a little too overly emotional and a little too manipulative in places, but that scene in the middle of it, when she's sitting on the cloud, is just so beautiful, and I do sort of very much sort of relate to the kind of emotions it's doing with you, and it did resonate with me on some level. So it's decent enough. I didn't absolutely love it or anything, but I think it's pretty solid. Double Rainboom has its moments. I think if you watch the abridged version, the 22-minute version, I think it's a lot better. The end credits are probably the best bit, though. I think,
Okay,
and
putting the...
that and Rarity with them name changing.
Yeah, by the way, then I'm putting the cut version in the links of the YouTube version of this video as well. So, a lot of links. Sorry. Go on.
A couple of things I noticed in the end credits, actually, that I kind of liked. Bubbles and Derpy appear together. Derpy's cutie mark is Bubbles. Coincidence?
Probably coincident, but funny.
And reference to Fighting is Magic, the game that sadly now will never be.
Squidle got a cutie
yes.
mark in Double Rainbow.
Probably yes, because now they are still doing it with original characters, and people are already speculating about creating a mod for it, so that they can take the final game and just re-implant the MLP characters, but not officially.
Wow.
So it is people so Main 6 creates this original game, nobody can touch them about, but then maybe there leaks the original models, and suddenly fans create their own version of original Fighting is Magic, but without the Main 6, so nobody can get for this. I would love if it turned out this way. This would be an awesome solution.
But Double Rainbow was very much sort of like an action movie, dumb action movie to me. It had its enjoyable moments, but it's not brilliant or anything, really.
Yeah. Theory, your final statement.
I'm still angry with you, by the way.
Sorry.
I'm just letting you know that now.
That's fair. I was an asshole. I admit it. I'm German. It's my nature. I can't do anything about it.
Okay, Schadenfreude, I get it. Right. Personally, between the two, I liked Snowdrop more, just because of how simple it was. I don't know. I'm just not too much of a Rainbow Dash fan to begin with, so. But I did enjoy all the little, because it was like a nerd's paradise kind of deal with Double Rainboom. But Snowdrop, it does what it wants to do, what it's supposed to do, which is tug at your heartstrings, and yeah, so that's pretty much all I have to say at this point. I'm still kind of just eyeing you down right now.
Oh my god, I'm so screwed.
You want to wrap it up, anyone?
Yeah, wrapping up.
You wrap
up. Yeah, I pretty much was impressed by both episodes on the quality they were in. I mean, we have all seen this 30-second, 1-minute short animations all over YouTube, which are pretty amazing, but seeing it in this length was, yeah, absolutely amazing. I'm having a hard time saying which one I would prefer, because they are, even though they both have a very high standard, they are just so different. The one going with the simplicity and the story and character focus, the other one going with the great visuals with thousands things happening on the screen at once. So they both are very strong and impressive in the thing they are doing. Personally, if I would probably personally prefer Double Rainboom because I just like chaos, a lot of things happening, and yeah, this quiet and sad thing just is not my is not mine. I'm not the quiet and sad guy, so yeah. But it's not saying something bad about this episode. It's just me. So yeah, but I guess this was a nice podcast. We, I guess, tackled a lot about these 2 episodes. We will do, of course, our aftermath this week once again. So you people watching the show in the live stream, stay tuned. We will restart streaming in a few minutes from Byters' end and have the aftermath. Aftermath means everybody who wants can join. Just contact me. I will talk to you via chat because, yeah, we don't need to talk during the show about this. Yep, this was CrepuscularBrony's discuss about Snowdrop and Double Rainboom. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye.